me put my face on. Let me put my makeup on. Welcome to That's Good Sports Monday morning NFL Denver Broncos reaction podcast. I'm Brandon Perna here with Will Keys. Today we're going to talk about some of the things we saw in NFL football from yesterday, and then we'll get into the Broncos' ugly, soul-crushing loss to the Jets, where the Jets just ran all over them. Just the Broncos were basically a football field yesterday, and the Jets ran all over them. A lot of things happened in the NFL this weekend. Nothing too crazy, but some stuff that might be mildly crazy, Will.
Yeah, no, definitely some crazy things. Do you want to start with some of the kickers, like Mason Crosby missing 4 field goals and an extra point?
Yeah, let's start with the Packers, who lost to the Detroit Lions. Got to hand it to the Lions. So far, they have beat the Patriots and the Packers. So,
yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady,
the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Teams whose names start with P. I'd maybe there's Patricia can only beat P teams. That's the take I want everybody to walk away with.
Watch out, Panthers.
It was really funny. We were my wife had to go to Los Angeles for work. And so I was driving her to the airport after the Broncos game. And I was trying to find football to listen to on the radio. And since the Rockies played and lost yesterday in the baseball playoffs, all of the FM stations were covering the Rockies. And I was going through AM, and I finally found a station. And it was actually just a recap of what was happening from the games already. But they'd mentioned the Packers game. And they go, kicker Mason Crosby misses 4 field goals and an extra point in the Packers' loss to the Detroit Lions. And my wife looked at me and she goes, isn't kicking his only job?
Sure is.
I was like, that really is. And that is probably the best way to sum up how the Packers lost that game. I mean, what's weird is because Mason Crosby has been, up until, maybe the last season or two, a very good and very reliable kicker. So, interesting.
Yeah, no, he's been one of the best. I mean, you don't stick around that long if you're not pretty reliable and consistent. He's kind of like Green Bay's version of Jason Elam, sort of, or Brandon McManus, too, if you want to make that comparison. But, yeah, that's pretty much the reason they lost. They're kind of relying on Aaron Rodgers for what feels like everything, which – may not be fair, considering I don't think he's even 80 or 70% after that week 1 injury. But another big kick from the morning games, we had Graham Gano nail a 63-yarder that looked like it was going to be good from 68 to beat the Giants.
Yeah, he had the leg on that one for sure. Graham Gano, maybe one of the underrated kickers in the NFL, always pretty good. 63-yarder to beat the New York Giants, who had just driven down the field. And did they kick a field? Did they score a touchdown to take the lead there?
Yeah, that was a Saquon Barkley.
Right.
Yeah, where he landed weird on maybe his knee. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
He landed weird. They were making a huge deal out of it. And then they're like, oh, no, he's laughing on the sidelines with his teammates. He's laughing, everybody. That was the announcer's signal to Giants fans that Saquon was okay. So Saquon laughing with his teammates. Sterling Shepard was beating the shit out of a bench and a garbage can, which a little bit of advice, Sterling. You're never going to win a fight with a garbage can. So –
no.
Garbage is undefeated in human history, and it will embarrass you every time. So.
And even if you do win, you're the guy that beat up a garbage can.
Right.
What's
again, still you're taking an L there. You're taking an L, as the kids say.
What is the deal with Giants wide receivers and inanimate objects on the sideline? Some kind of
there's something there.
Grudge between them.
I tried to make a joke and say that the kicking net was really happy that she married Odell Beckham and not Sterling Shepard.
Abusive.
Which I don't think anybody thought was very funny. I thought it was. It's not a domestic violence joke. It's our wide receivers one wide receiver kissed and then proposed to a kicking net, and the other wide receiver is beating the shit out of benches and garbage cans. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody couldn't have thought that was funny.
I don't know, man. It's just like I try so hard, and I feel like I'm rewarded with just failing. I am like the New York Giants.
Pretty much. They look bad. Odell before the game kind of said some I don't want to say cryptic things about Eli Manning, but someone asked him about the quarterback situation, and he didn't give a very I don't know how to say it.
It was an ESPN interview, and he questioned his quarterback. He questioned being whether he wants to be a Giant anymore.
It's like, dude, you just signed a huge, massive contract.
Yeah, and then he took credit for galvanizing the team afterwards. Said, hey, he apologized for his comments to the team, and then he took credit for bringing the team closer together because they played a pretty good football game that they actually lost. So
yeah, always good to galvanize the team enough to lose by 2 points.
Yeah. You know, man, it's these fucking millennials, dude. It's these millennials.
It's true.
Technically I am one too, I guess, but you know, if you want to just point a general finger, millennials.
I don't know. I might not even be I might be on the edge. You might even be more of a millennial than me. So
what are you?
Looking in the mirror on that one. I think like the official millennial age stopped in 96, which is when I was born. So
I forget how young you are.
Teetering.
I am 12 years older than you.
When you were 12, I was a little baby. Can you believe that?
Yeah. If I would have seen you as a little baby, I would have drowned you in a river.
Okay. I was going to go more with like stolen candy from me.
Well.
Because it would have been easy.
And it's not a mean thing, but if I would have known your future is sitting here talking to me about football on webcams on a Monday morning, a future that is probably going nowhere, I would have just saved you the pain. I would have saved you the pain of living an unfulfilling life.
It would have been like killing baby Hitler. It's simply the right thing to do. Okay. All right.
Wow.
Other notable morning games. Pittsburgh beat Atlanta. I don't know if anything interesting happened in that other than Julio Jones failed to score a touchdown again.
Did he get hurt in that game?
I don't know if he got hurt, but he got held to like 5 catches, 60-something yards, which is
he just didn't
pretty pedestrian for him. Yeah. Okay. And KC beat Jacksonville by 16 points. Their defense was pretty much the star in this one. They scored a touchdown. Blake Bortles was throwing passes off of his offensive linemen's helmets. Basically everywhere except his wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. So KC got out of it with a 30-14 victory, which was probably closer than it actually was, to be honest.
I mean, Bortles threw 4 interceptions on the day. That was on during the Broncos game. I haven't got to like really look into that. I'm assuming most of those interceptions were his fault. You know, sometimes you see quarterback has like a couple picks. And for example, the Patriots-Colts game the other night, Tom Brady, 2 interceptions. Neither one of them were his fault. And God, do I want him to be at fault for interception. So I'm assuming, though, from what I've heard on the peripheral is that Bortles played like shit. Somehow he had 430 passing yards, but 4 interceptions. Jags couldn't really get their running game going. The Chiefs, Kareem Hunt had another decent game. Tyreek Hill, just too many little things to stop if you get down, if you're the Jags. Because I don't know, man, like I wanted to see Blake Bortles be pretty good again. I like the Jags. I want them to be the best team in the AFC. But right now, you got to say that's probably the Chiefs.
Yeah, reluctantly. Well, I think next Sunday night's game will go a long way to figuring that out if they really are the best team.
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
Are they playing is it the Patriots?
Yeah, it's at New England.
Oh,
I think it's at New England.
who do I want to win that game? I'm going to want the Chiefs to
Alien
win.
versus Predator.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I might be rooting for the Patriots, to be honest, just to even things out.
Yeah, well, you're already at Tom Brady level of hate for Patrick Mahomes, so I can understand that. I'm still at Tom Brady level of hate for Tom Brady.
Yeah, right. So I was able to follow this game because I was watching the Broncos game at a bar, and the TV behind me was the Chiefs-Jaguars game, and I wasn't watching the game.
But you have eyes in the back of your head, so it made it very easy.
Well, yeah. Well, that for one. But also there's like this semi-overweight Chiefs fan behind me watching the game and reacting to every big play like he was just taking the most painful shit of his life. Like he'd see – like after like Mahomes goes deep to Travis Kelce, he goes like, "Ah!" And then like Blake Bortles throws a pick and he's like, "Oh!" And he's just making the most painful, unnatural groaning sounds of his life. And so anytime I heard something just incredibly disturbing behind me, I knew something good was happening for the Chiefs. Yeah. And I heard a lot of it, so I could tell that they were winning big.
As a man who had what I would classify as a difficult bowel movement this morning, that story really hits home with me, Will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if he has like bowel troubles or, that's just how he expresses joy. Like, I wonder if he does that for like other things in his life. Like he gets married and he's like, "Yeah, I do.
Oh, I do. Oh.
I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you."
Your tax refund is going to be $6,000. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's basically how I think of all Chiefs fans now.
And that's how the Jags lost to the Chiefs.
Yep.
You got off theme, though, because the Cleveland Browns won their second game. Yeah. Also, another overtime game, relying on the foot of their kicker. And
correct. That was maybe the worst game-winning field goal I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was a 30-yarder?
Yes.
And it looked like it was a knuckleball from start to finish. It looked like it got blocked. I thought the kick got blocked, and then it went through the uprights. I was like, oh, shit, a blocked kick went through the uprights. Oh, no, it's just a bad kick. But either way, still a dramatic victory for the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns almost got hosed again, too, because Baker Mayfield was throwing the ball on third down around the 50-yard line, and I can't remember which receiver it was. I think it was Jarvis Landry who just got knocked to the ground like 15 yards past the line of scrimmage. And the referees all got together and talked about it, and they didn't throw a flag for illegal contact. When you could have thrown illegal contact on Brennan Carr for just knocking out the receiver, and whoever was covering him on the play, it might have been Jimmy Smith, just for holding him up until that point. So they almost got just smoked by the referees two weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's an interesting play because, I mean, he was manhandled for, no reason. Now, the refs say the ball was uncatchable, right? So that's why they didn't throw a penalty. But, like, when you look at that, you could call illegal contact, you could have called defensive holding, or you could have called pass interference. One of those three things could have been called there, I'm assuming, under the NFL rules. And they say that they can't call illegal contact if the ball is already in the air, which I didn't know. So, like, once the ball's in the air, no longer is it illegal contact. It's a pass interference penalty, and it can't be pass interference penalty if the refs say the ball is uncatchable. But my question there is the ball uncatchable, or is the receiver not able to run his proper route because he was fucking taken down? Like,
I have a feeling the ball would have looked a lot more catchable had Jarvis Landry or whoever it was not been knocked out cold at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, I just feel like that is called some sort of penalty 99 out of 100 times. It's not like it was like a ball that Baker Mayfield threw kind of out of the back of the end zone where it looked like maybe it could have went to a receiver and you're like, no, it's uncatchable. Like, it's in the middle of the field. It would have been a ripe story for the Browns getting fucked, but instead they beat the Ravens, which makes you question the Ravens now. I was like, I think the Ravens are going to, the best team in the AFC North. And now the Bengals sit atop the AFC North, quietly just climbed to a 4-1 record. The Ravens lose to the Browns. The Browns have been competitive with basically every team they played, and they're 2-1, which so are the Steelers now, 2-1.
Yes.
So interesting division to watch. I don't know. I feel like they're the most like storylines in the AFC North. Like you've got the Steelers and all their drama. You've got the Browns dating back to Hard Knock, Baker Mayfield, and nobody really cares about the Ravens outside of Baltimore. But
the Bengals are quietly 4-1. They beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, they beat the Dolphins, who now are tied with the Patriots in the AFC East. We thought
funny how quickly that happened.
God, my, how the turntables have turned.
How the turntables. Okay, so Baker Mayfield is, for all intents and purposes, 2-1. He didn't get credited for his first win because Tyrod Taylor started the game, but he came back from a 12-point deficit.
Yeah, he carried that game.
He probably should be 3-0 if you want to think about that Oakland game and a couple calls that absolutely should have gone their way. And if you really want to boil it down to this, like Cleveland is a few plays away from being 5-0 because they've been in every single game a good kicker away from being 5-0, I would say.
Sneaky hot take. Browns should be 5-0. Browns are the best team in football.
They might be. Yeah. Watch out, Kansas City.
Browns have a really good defense, and I think that's probably the thing that's getting lost in, Baker Mayfield playing well and being the number 1 overall pick. But if you're excited about the Browns, it's got to start with their defense. There's a lot of talent there. Go ahead.
Denzel Ward looks like the defensive rookie of the year at this point.
Yeah.
Pick against Flacco.
God, the Broncos could use Denzel Ward. Josh Rosen, he got a win yesterday, right? They beat the 49ers?
He sure did. He beat C.J. Beathard and the 49ers, who they look like they're kind of spiraling for the second season in a row.
They need one more high draft pick, and then they're going to be as good as I thought they were.
It only took a year.
I didn't get – I was working on episodes. I didn't get to watch much of that game, but the first play I saw was just Josh Rosen throwing like a 70-yard bomb for a touchdown. So if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, you got to be a little bit excited of some of the things you're starting to see with your rookie, and also gets you your first win against a shitty team. But Rosen gets a win, Mayfield gets a win, and even Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills gets a win against the Tennessee Titans, who the fuck are the Titans? Every game is going to be won or lost by 3 points, and nobody's going to score more than 8 points in a football game when you're watching the goddamn Titans play.
Yeah, no, this is the NFL is such a middle-class league now. I feel like everybody's just kind of in the hunt except for maybe, I don't know, Kansas City and the Rams. I don't think there are any winless teams anymore, are there?
No, just those two. It's the Rams and Chiefs, 5-0.
Yeah, and there's no one with 0 wins anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you had the Vikings and Eagles. Vikings get a win, right. So you're questioning like the whole NFC East is like who the fuck's actually the best in that division. Vikings, of course, are in the NFC North, but I was referencing the NFC East with the Eagles. The Redskins play tonight. The Giants lose. The Cowboys lose. That is a very middle class conference. You're right. It's like, and even the Rams, like it's crazy because the Rams offense is what is carrying them. Their offense is the exciting part of that team. And they nearly lost yesterday because their defense could not stop anything.
Yeah, no, it looks like Aqib Talib might be sneaky the most valuable defensive player of all time because the two defenses that he's left recently, the Broncos via trade and the Rams via injury, albeit temporarily, have gotten a lot worse since he left.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson, he only had 198 passing yards, but he threw 3 touchdowns, and I think what you noticed in that game was that when he did complete the deep ball. It was just to guys who were wide open. And you have to assume, like, with Aqib Talib in the secondary, that probably not happening the way it did. Like, two of the touchdowns I watched, or at least, like, getting the ball way down the field, it was like Tyler Lockett wide open for no reason. And also, the Seahawks ran the ball effectively, which you have to be a little bit concerned about if you're a Rams fan in that defense. I mean, Chris Carson has a breakout 116-yard game, and then Mike Davis behind him with another 68 yards. So they gave up maybe the second most rush yards to the Broncos yesterday.
Yeah, a close second.
And but I still think the Rams are good. Like, that defense when they get Aqib Talib back will be better. And I think that offense is consistently going to be a challenge for any defense they're playing. So kind of like the Chiefs at this point. Like, the Chiefs and the Rams are really similar, except for the Rams do have a good defense. It just isn't playing well right now. Like,
they're very similar.
Talent there. So,
except for the fact the Rams have a good quarterback. Anyway.
Speaking of Rams quarterback, nobody is still beating Goff. Nobody has beaten Goff, guys. Beaten Goff shirts on the That's Good Sports store. Buy them.
Look, I'll just say it. Yeah, buy a shirt. I'll say it. Jared Goff, undefeated since beating Goff's inception. The inception of beating Goff.
Since Will Keys invented beating Goff,
no one's beaten Goff.
No one's beaten Goff. He is just a star. A star is born.
More so than Bradley Cooper.
Shout out to that movie. I haven't seen it yet. Heard it's good, though.
Yeah.
Will and I both like movies. We could probably do a movie and TV podcast, honestly. We're really fit to be working for The Ringer. You know what I mean?
Yes, except we're funny.
Our acumen for pop culture, we are funnier than The Ringer. We are funnier than
Bill Simmons, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
He's not.
No.
He's not. Don't worry. I've sent them emails, and they have not responded, just like all those other assholes. Anyway.
You have to show up to their door.
It's like, dude, just give me a chance. Give Will and I a chance. The Sunday night game, actually pretty good. Cowboys, Texans, that goes into overtime, right?
Yep.
Right? And how do the Texans win? They get into field goal range on a DeAndre Hopkins pretty good catch, and then not one, but two spin moves. Like
the spin cycle twice.
I'm editing the Broncos video. I have that game on. I'm home alone because my wife's gone, and I watched that play, and I just started screaming at the TV. I was just like, oh! Like, you know a play is good when you get that kind of reaction and no one around to share it with. And, like, the only place I have to share it is, like, on social media. So I immediately, like, rewind it and put the clip on Twitter. And I don't know. I found that play very exciting. Like, you don't see back-to-back spin moves like that. And they weren't the best spin moves, but they were effective. And I don't know. I was happy to see the Cowboys lose as well because I picked the Texans to win. And so many of my picks yesterday were fucking wrong. I needed that win is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you deserved it. I love, like – the spin move, I think, is my favorite move, like, out of a ball carrier's repertoire. Whenever I'm playing Madden, I just smash the hell out of the B button and spin forever. It's better than a juke. It's more satisfying, and when you just time it perfectly, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, and it looks cool. I mean, it looks cool.
It breaks ankles too, like a juke.
Yeah, if Isaiah Crowell did spin moves on his way to his 77-yard touchdown, I would be like, okay, I'll cut the defense a little slack. Move. How are you going to stop us?
There was nobody trying to tackle him is the problem.
Except everybody who tried to tackle him fell down. I think that kind of wraps up our NFL portion. I mean, I know we didn't get to every game. The Falcons kind of look shitty losing to the Steelers.
They're just
Buffalo
so good.
Bills,
It's hard to say.
the worst team, but sometimes okay team is how I classify them. The Bears didn't play this week. Bears are another team, I would say, with Kansas City and the Rams, who are, I think, in fact, you might say you could argue the Bears are better than either of those teams. Well, except if you factor in their quarterback, who did have his breakout game before his bye week, 6 touchdown passes. I don't think that's going to happen again. But the Bears, I think, are the second best team in the NFC. So we'll talk more about the NFL on Thursday for our podcast then. And now we're going to get into this Broncos loss, which was an atrocity. The Jets, here's the problem with this Broncos loss. Just like the big picture is the Jets aren't a better football team than the Broncos, if you're talking about talent and playmakers, but they just owned the Denver Broncos on Sunday, just beat the shit out of them. And I want to say that the Jets are like a team on the rise, and they have this really solid but to me, they're a team that has a lot of pieces they still need to fill.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, I think, might be a good quarterback in another 2 years or a year. I don't know. He's fine for a rookie, but he's not breaking teams. The fact that the Broncos gave up 323 rushing yards to a team that nobody was fearing as a strong rushing team is concerning as a Broncos fan. And just a stat for you, though. Peyton Manning, through 5 weeks in 2013, had 21 touchdown passes. Patrick Mahomes only has 14 now, Will, so not elite.
I'm feeling
not elite
better.
at all. I just wanted to sprinkle that in for you.
I also saw a stat that Ryan Leaf in his career threw 14 touchdown passes, and Patrick Mahomes in his career 14 touchdown passes.
Basically the same. Basically.
I think not.
What did you want to say about this game? I feel like you were ready to say something. You're refusing to stop talking.
I was going to say that Darnold, his stat line looked really good, and he had 3 touchdowns to 1 pick. The 1 pick was just batted in the air. I still even though his stats look so good, I didn't think he was all that impressive. That 1 throw to Robbie Anderson was really, really nice.
That touchdown, Jim? That touchdown dime?
That was a dime. He just other than that, it's very easy to throw the ball when you're also running the ball for 323 yards in a game.
Yeah.
Which the Broncos failed to realize because they got away from the running game once they faced any type of deficit whatsoever.
It is mind-boggling. Okay, so another stat for you. The Broncos get the most yards on average on first down if they're running the ball. So in the NFL, 6.3 yards per carry on first down. The Jets were 31st in the NFL on this statistic, and then jumped to number 9.
Jesus.
Yeah, number 9. They were 31st, and an outlier like that with that big of a jump is not a good sign for the Broncos defense. But Here's the thing that's interesting. So here are a bunch of the teams that run the ball very well on first down. You got the Broncos, losing record. Panthers, winning record. Cowboys, losing record. Saints, winning record. 49ers, losing record. Chargers, winning record. Rams, winning record. Packers, tie-ish record. So running the ball effectively on first down, to me, basically doesn't mean shit. And it's just like anything in football, you have to do multiple things well as a team. And I think it's just when I try to figure out what's wrong with the Broncos, it just feels like it is a different thing every week. That is a glaring problem. And so there's no consistency of greatness. Like, you can't be like the Packers and say, okay, maybe we're not that good of a team, but every week we know Aaron Rodgers is going to be fucking lights out. You know what I mean? Or the Titans right now. We're not a great team per se, but every week our defense is going to keep us in the game. Like, our defense is tough, and they're going to give us a chance to win. The Broncos, it's like it's their secondary. And then this week, it's like, oh, shit, 2 weeks in a row, their run defense has disappeared. They can't stop Kareem Hunt, and now they can't stop Bilal Powell and Isaiah Crowell. Case Keenum is throwing too many picks. He throws one pick at the end of the game, has decent stats, but if you watch that game, you weren't like, dang, Case Keenum's playing good. You would say the exact same thing about Keenum as you did about Sam Darnold. It's like, I didn't see anything special from him. He wasn't bad, but it's like when the Broncos need to make a play or when they need to get downfield, I don't have faith in Keenum to do it. It's like he's like a better version of what we've seen the last 2 years, where it's a bunch of short passes that seem to be less and less effective throughout the game. He had one downfield pass to Demaryius Thomas, and then that downfield touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas, which wasn't even a good throw by Case Keenum. It was just a good catch by Demaryius Thomas. And it was in garbage time for a touchdown. So, like, if you're going to look at Keenum's stats and be like, well, a quarterback's fine, that's completely misleading. The offensive line and pass protection is struggling. Keenum's feel for his feel when he should know he's about to get sacked does not exist, Will. He does not feel the fucking sack coming. It's not always his fault. Sometimes you're not going to feel it as a quarterback, but don't get me wrong, he is not being helped out by the defense there. And what was crazy was, like, every time the Broncos were in third down and long, I had no faith they were going to make a play because the pass rush came. The Jets, give them credit defensively, they blitzed on third down, and the Broncos had no answer to pick it up. Every time the Jets blitzed, they got to the quarterback, which leads me to my next thing. Where the fuck is the Broncos blitz? Why is Von Miller not being just unleashed every play trying to sack the quarterback? I feel like the difference I'm seeing when the Broncos defense pass rush was good, it was like Von Miller was in the backfield almost every play. He wasn't getting a sack every time, but he was there. You had DeMarcus Ware there, or Shane Ray, Shaq Barrett. It was like almost every play, like, oh shit, the pass rush is coming. Quarterback's going to make a mistake. That just doesn't exist. So I had to get all of that off my chest. Those are the problems I'm seeing. Do I think everything is burning, Will? A little bit. So talk me off the ledge, please. Bring me back down to reality and tell me why it's not as bad as it looks. If you can. If you can even do such a thing.
I don't know if I can do that for you. The thing I will say, though, is I'm going to kind of expound on that rant a little bit, which I think all of those points are entirely fair, and I agree with just about all of them. But, yeah, like, third down, third and long, get the slow interior rushers off the field because they're clearly not doing anything, and get, like, that NASCAR front with Chubb, Miller, Barrett, Ray, everybody, and have them rush the passer and just do something different and creative instead of just, like, having Miller and Chubb, like, rush themselves out of the play and the quarterback takes one step up and they've got all day to throw.
Yeah, or it's like Miller and Chubb are in coverage for some reason on third down. What the fuck?
I saw a lot of Shaq Barrett in coverage again, which we talked about last week, and I'm like, I don't know. Is Brandon Marshall just, like, not cutting it enough to the point where you have to put Shaq Barrett, his best skill as a football player is rushing the passer, covering wide receivers and tight ends? But on the other side, offensively for the Broncos, it felt like every third down, the Jets were showing blitz, and they weren't disguising it. They were just blitzing, and Leonard Williams pancaked whoever he was going up against, whether it was one of the guards or Paradis, and getting in the backfield. And then they kept either Booker or Freeman or whoever was in on third down, the pass block. Here's a fucking idea. When you see the blitz, have your running back swing out and throw a screen pass to eliminate the pass rush. They didn't do it. Every other team does it to the Broncos. They're not doing it to their opponents. And they're becoming super predictable. They're trying to counter a blitz with like a 9-step drop, and it's the worst thing you can do. And they're getting sacked or just throwing it away every time.
You know how you get past that blitz, Will? You run further backwards. Can't catch you if you're never going forward. That's what I always say. And they if the Broncos had a more athletic quarterback, they might be able to do that. They might be able to say, okay, the blitz is coming. We've got a guy who's going to athletically kind of outrun people right or left in the pocket and get a ball downfield. Keenum's not that guy. Like, he's just not. So a screen pass in that situation is the perfect remedy. You see it every week when a team's having too much success getting at the quarterback. You dump off the pass quickly. You let the pass rush come, and then that puts the pass rush in check. You run 2 effective screen plays that are big gains. All of a sudden, the defense is second-guessing whether or not they should be blitzing. And you say, well, you need running backs, good running backs, to run the screen. Well, the Broncos fucking have those. They have those, Will. They've got 2 guys. They've got 3 guys. 3 guys who can do it. The only thing Booker does well is catch the fucking ball. So, he's good in pass protection. He's just not a great running back. He's a blocking back and a catching back. He's
essentially a fullback.
He's a CB back. Yeah. But also, when the Broncos have tried to run the screen this year, it doesn't work. Have you noticed that? The screen has been – I feel like they haven't run it for like 2 weeks, but I feel like –
bubble screen to Demaryius Thomas?
No, not the bubble screen. That they didn't run the screen.
Never worked since like 2014.
Demaryius Thomas too old to be the home run hitter on those bubble screens. That should be Deshaun Hamilton. But I feel like the screen, when they have tried it this season, really hasn't worked. And it's been either the defense has just sniffed it out and they've been right there to tackle the back. The back drops a pass or Keenum makes a shitty throw. So in fairness, maybe they're not good at running it. I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Like, just do something else. Like, run a tight end screen though too, or something. Anything else. Yeah. Run like a toss to the halfback if you see pressure coming from the inside. I don't know.
The tight end is quietly, I think, a glaring problem on the offense.
It feels like anytime they target Hireman, good things happen. It's just like he disappears from the majority of the game.
Yeah, they're just.
He's good for like a first down on a bootleg, which they did all of like twice yesterday. The thing I was harping about last week is moving the pocket, and the 2 times they did it, first time was a bootleg. Hireman gets a first down. Second time they have Case Keenum roll out to his right, and that's the play where he hits Demaryius Thomas down the field for like 30-something yards.
Yeah, you know who likes the bootleg is Gary Kubiak.
He sure does. And you know who likes Gary Kubiak? All of Twitter. And they really want him to come in.
Which is so funny. So funny because people could not wait to get rid of Kubiak. Like,
yes.
Kubiak was the reason Peyton Manning was not playing well in his final season. And there might be some truth to that Kubiak tried to force his system on maybe the poorly fit quarterback for it. But the Broncos miraculously get a Super Bowl that year. And then the season after, it's like nobody liked Kubiak. Nobody was championing for him. And when they mutually agreed to step down, people were happy. And now it's like, it's always that though. It's you blame, except when Vance Joseph gets fired, nobody's going to be saying they wish Vance Joseph was back. Unless of course the next coach is worse.
It's going to be tough to do.
There's just so many problems. There's potential there as well. And here's the thing that people want Vance Joseph to be fired right now. They want Joe Woods to be fired right now. If anybody gets fired, I think it will be Joe Woods before Vance Joseph, because maybe you could argue that if Vance Joseph takes sort of ownership of the defense, he could do a better job than Joe Woods, kind of having your offensive or your head coach call your defensive plays. But the problem with doing that is there's not a solution for it this season. Like if Vance Joseph is gone, who do you bring in? Who's coaching this team? You're gonna put more responsibility.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah,
Gary Kubiak stepped down for a reason. He's not going to come in as an interim head coach as much as everyone wants him to. That's not how coaching works. You can't really step in having not been inside the locker room all year and expect to take over a team in the middle of a season. Yeah, probably Bill Musgrave, even though he doesn't have any head coaching experience.
Yeah, and I think Bill Musgrave's focus should just be figuring out the offense every week. And
yeah, I don't know, it would have been Eric Studesville if he was still around, but obviously he's not.
Yeah, Joe DeCamillis step in as head coach when Kubiak had his health issue the last time around.
When Paxton Lynch played so bad against the Falcons that he almost killed them on the sideline. Yep.
It's I don't know. I don't think there's a good solution for the Broncos this season. It's you just kind of have to hope that they pull it together, because they played well against the Chiefs, but a good team would have won that game. I don't know, man. I just feel like they haven't even week 1 with their win over the Seahawks. You could point to a lot of issues in that game, so I don't feel like they've played a great game this entire season. You know what I mean?
Right.
There hasn't been one game where I go, shit, these guys have figured it out. And Derek Wolfe, after the game, said it's the same shit every week. He's sick and tired of talking about this shit. He needed to take a shit, and that he thinks this shit runs deeper than even he can explain. So
he's in a shitty mood. I don't blame him.
It's coaching's a problem. Quarterback's a problem. The one solid thing this team had is no longer that. The defense is a problem. The best players on the team are the rookies right now. So it's kind of crazy.
It's a good sign for the future if you want to look at it optimistically, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you get and it's hard because Keenum's not a really bad quarterback. He's just not a good quarterback.
He's not good enough to raise all ships, and
right.
The Broncos would need like an Aaron Rodgers type quarterback to do that, and he's clearly, not even close to that.
Yeah, and Chad Kelly's not that guy
for the Packers right now. Yeah, well, yeah, everybody expects the Broncos to put Chad Kelly in, and miraculously, the defense is going to get better, offense is going to get better, special teams going to get better, everything.
Yeah, the Broncos' special teams actually very solid, and then they gave up that big return in this game.
Colby Wadman shanked a couple to start.
Yeah, his first punt was not good. His second punt was a little better, but not good. Then he kind of got into a rhythm, but fuck. I mean, look at that decision. Look at the decision. Here's Elway's biggest problem as a GM is thinking that talented people shouldn't be paid and that he can replace them. Because getting rid of Britton Colquitt, they drafted a punter to replace Colquitt, who was, for all intents and purposes, a fine punter. Colquitt, better than Marquette King has been, better than Riley Dixon ever was. You draft a punter. So you waste a draft pick on a position that maybe you find a gym somewhere else, a better position of need. Wade Phillips, they decide not to pay him. It came down to money. He wanted, I don't know, was it $2 million a year or some shit? They decide not to pay him. Obviously, a huge mistake. TJ Ward going? Fine, we get it, because that didn't work out well, in Tampa for him. You get rid of Aqib Talib. That might not just be about money, obviously, but huge issue for the defense. So Malik Jackson, Danny Trevathan, not wanting to pay guys who are still playing well in other places. It is hard to replace production. I get it. Like as a GM, you're always balancing those things, right? Like we have a cap we have to hit every year. Which guys can we keep? Who do we think we can part ways with? But I think that's been the real problem. And now we're seeing like the struggles of it. And the Broncos really, until they find a quarterback, any coach that comes in here, I don't know who's going to right the ship. You look at Sean McVay's having a lot of success because his quarterback's playing well. A big part of that is because of Sean McVay, but you've got to have a guy who can do that for you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't see the solution happening soon. Everybody deserves the criticism. Probably not the extent of which social media will lay it on them, but it's fair to criticize anything right now.
Yeah, no, I understand the frustration, although I don't think there's like a quick fix. Like I don't think firing Vance Joseph basically means you're giving up on the season. Like you can't expect the next coach to turn it around. And if you want to have him fired and you can accept that the season's going to turn into just an absolute tire fire, which it might be anyway, then I understand that. If you want to bench Case Keenum, which I don't think is the number one problem, at least, it's more of I think it's closer to a symptom than a cause of the Broncos' overall problems. You can't expect Chad Kelly to come in and light him up either, because he comes in and he's probably going to play worse than Keenum. But you have to, if you can accept that and accept that he's going to play pretty badly, most likely for a few games, maybe more, and then maybe he'll start to figure things out at least like later in the season or next year. Then I guess I understand that too, but you can't expect things to turn around quickly based on one or two moves.
Yeah, if I'm the head coach, like I'm sticking with Case Keenum until the Broncos are officially eliminated from the playoffs, because then you can bring in Chad Kelly, and it doesn't ruin your chances of sticking with Case Keenum if you need to next season. And it also will let you kind of gauge where he really is, playing against starting NFL defenses. Because as good as the things Chad Kelly did well in the preseason, you can't expect to translate to the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. But there's no denying that there's arm talent there that I think Kelly's got he's got the right makeup in that he's never going to be afraid to throw the ball. Which is also a dangerous line to walk as a quarterback. But again, you just don't know. And it's the same thing if the Broncos draft say they don't win any more games and they're drafting one or two and they pick a quarterback everybody thinks is a lock. Like that doesn't mean shit to me. It's such a mystery right now. And there's which to your point means there's no solid answer. So you just got to get on the surfboard and ride the waves, because the Rams are in town this weekend without Aqib Talib. Their defense is – well, the Rams' pass rush is going to, I feel, destroy the Broncos' offense this week. But we'll get into that on Thursday. But the Broncos might play well against the Rams. That's how little I feel I understand this team right now.
Yeah, no, here's the angle for you. Case Keenum revenge game.
Dude, I've been saying Case Keenum bounce back game every week since week 1.
Yes. I don't think it's a bounce back at this point. I think it's just like a bounce forward if he does anything good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Is there anything else that we missed here that we need to talk about?
I don't know. We can talk about a couple positives, I guess, just so people don't literally fall off the ledge. Which is
you get back from that ledge, my friend.
Well, third eye blind.
Yeah. Before your time, really.
Positive for you. Deshaun Hamilton caught a couple passes. He looked
finally good. Yeah, he looks good. He looks faster than DT, maybe even faster than Sanders. But you got to ease him in there. I was very happy to see. I call him Day Ham get those catches. Okay, positive.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton caught his first touchdown.
Sutton gets a TD, and it was a impressive grab. You know, he had to get that second foot down. The ball was the ball was placed in a somewhat catchable area by Keenum, but
it was a good throw.
It was an all right throw.
Yeah. Okay. Demaryius Thomas, 100-yard game for the first time this year.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. DT, 100 yards.
The running backs still good, just didn't get enough carries.
Both averaged. I think Phillip Lindsay had 6+ yards a carry. Freeman had like 5. Freeman was quiet until he had that one big run. But also, like, they're kind of spotty with the way they get the ball to Freeman. And I thought the plan was to get Freeman the ball more this week after he did so well last week. No. Booker needs to be in for 20 snaps in pass protection.
All right, Brandon, we're talking positives here.
Okay. You're right.
Other positives. All right. Yeah, no, I think that
Garrett Wolf got his first career interception, huh?
Yep. That was a nice play. Shane Ray did a good job knocking the ball.
Hey, Shane Ray actually played pretty good.
Yep.
Maybe the best of any of the defensive players.
Yes.
So the Jets, I mean, we know how many rushing yards they got. That 77-yard run, I saw Chris Harris out of position. Then I saw Roby fall. I saw Darian Stewart fall. I saw
Darian Stewart got shot with a sniper on that play, I'm pretty sure.
Not fast enough to be able to, make a stop. And then, I mean, I don't know who to blame for the poor rush defense. Like, it starts with the defensive line. I think, like, people think linebackers are what stop the run game. And they're an important part of it, but it's like the linebackers and the defensive line are like a symbiotic sort of organism that have to be on the same page, and I feel like they're not. And
one of them has to funnel them to the other, basically.
Yeah, the linebackers are stopping gaps, right? So the gaps were everywhere. Just pick one, and the running back was finding holes there. And, I mean, Belial Powell had 99 yards next to the 219 from Isaiah Crowell. So, I don't know
New Jets franchise record, single game.
Yeah, I don't know how you fix that. That's like a problem so bad that I don't know. And Bradley Roby got just fucking torched by Robbie Anderson. Like, is Robbie Anderson that much faster than Bradley Roby?
Apparently.
I don't know. And I was confident because I thought Roby did a decent job with Tyreek Hill, but then I don't know, man. I think Roby's just more suited to be a nickel corner, and I think he can be a good one at that for a few more years in the NFL. But the Broncos offseason was just a failure. So Marquette King's gone. Clinton McDonald didn't even make it to the start of the regular season. You put a lot of money in Case Keenum. He's not playing well. Tremaine Brock was your solution at corner, and that worked out so well you had to get Adam Jones, and Jones didn't finish the game. So your two corner solutions weren't even on the field in this game. And the Rams, Tremaine Johnson also was he didn't play. He was injured, but he has been playing well for the Rams, and he was a free agent this offseason, starting as their corner.
Sure.
So that was the other thing that surprised me about the Broncos offense is they should have had a distinct advantage against the Jets. They were down their starting corner, and then Buster Screen gets injured. Their nickel or their slot corner, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and nothing.
Made no difference.
Nada. And I know we were trying to keep it positive, but I don't think the Broncos are a good football team, and I don't think they're going to do anything this season. Of course, that could change. Everything could change. You've seen it every week in the NFL. But my hopes of them bouncing from worst to second, that was my goal, second, I don't think is happening this year. They're going to compete with the Raiders, I feel like, to be at the bottom of this division. And it's going to be a bumpy ride. We'll see how many people stick with us through the season.
Yes, that's going to be the real test.
All right, I'm done. Do you have anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Nope, I'm done. I hate this team. That's it.
I still love them, but boy, am I disappointed.
I hate this iteration of the team.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I mean, people get really upset, but it's just men playing a game, and they don't play it as well as other men. Like, it is so silly to get to let it affect your day and your life. But it's like a religion, though. People build part of their identity into the success of their team because we have our own lives where we're not doing anything special, and so we want to see our team represent the opposite of that for us. And when it doesn't, we take it personally, and it's a weird world we live in.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah, if anybody made it this far in the podcast, I should have started with that, you know?
Yeah. I think after that.
Smart podcasters and radio people or whatever, they start with something good to hook people. I just started by screaming about nothing. So
I don't know. I think people, after hearing that little soliloquy by you, would have gotten immediately very depressed and turned off the podcast and reconsidered most of their life choices.
That's Good Sports Podcast, #1 podcast for suicides after listening. Not a stat we're proud of, but hey,
it's the only thing we're number one in right now.
All right, well, thanks for listening here. Make sure you follow Will Keys on Twitter @WillKeys6. Will, big help to me right now. Without him, I would be drowning.
In a ditch somewhere, yeah.
Will is helping me. We're on iTunes, Podbean, all that bullshit. You know, give us a rating or not.
Do it.
Bye.